Chosen one, listen to me carefully. What I'm about to share with you is not a general message. This is urgent. This is precise. And this is not meant for everyone. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if you are not serious about obedience, alignment, and spiritual growth, then this message is not for you. You may leave now. But if you are truly chosen, truly called, and you have felt that quiet pull in your spirit that you could never explain, then this message has reached you at the exact right moment. I say this with full authority. This message will change the way you see yourself, and it will change the way you move. You are not here by accident. Heaven timed this encounter. And today, you will understand why your steps carry weight, why your decisions shift atmospheres, and why you move with sanctioned power, cleared by heaven itself. Chosen one, your life has not been random. Your delays were not punishments. Your resistance was not rejection. God has been authorizing you in silence. Stay with me till the very end, because what you will hear today will bring clarity, calm your mind, and release you from doubts you've been carrying far too long. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you don't miss what God is releasing next, share this with other chosen ones, and comment 777 to declare that you are aligned, authorized, and ready to walk in what heaven has cleared for you. Section 2. What sanctioned power really means, not what religion taught you. Chosen one, let me clear something up gently but firmly. Sanctioned power is not what most people think it is. It is not loud. It is not forceful. It does not rush into rooms demanding attention. And it certainly does not need applause to feel real. What religion often taught you was performance. What heaven gives you is permission. Sanctioned power is heaven saying, you may move now. It is divine allowance. It is authority without anxiety. And if you are honest with yourself, you have felt this before. There were moments when you acted, spoke, or walked away from something, and later you realized it was protected. Things aligned quietly. Damage was avoided without effort. You didn't force it. You didn't even understand it fully. That was not luck. That was clearance. This kind of power does not inflate the ego. In fact, it does the opposite. It humbles you, because when power is sanctioned by God, you realize it did not originate from you. You are not the source, you are the carrier. And carriers are careful. Carriers move differently. They don't waste energy trying to prove what heaven already approved. Religion often made you afraid of power. It told you that confidence was pride and authority was arrogance. So you learned to shrink. You learned to question yourself. You learned to wait for permission from people who were never assigned to approve you. But God never intended his chosen ones to live timid lives. He intended them to live obedient lives. And obedience produces authority. Sanctioned power means you no longer chase validation. You don't need people to agree with you in order to obey God. You don't need applause to confirm alignment. You don't need constant reassurance that you are on the right path. Something inside you knows, and that knowing does not shout, it rests. This is why chosen ones often feel uncomfortable in loud environments. Too much noise interferes with discernment. Too many opinions dilute clarity. When your power is sanctioned, your spirit prefers peace over praise. You are not antisocial. You are just calibrated differently. Let me say this clearly because many of you struggle here. Sanctioned power does not mean everything will go smoothly. It means everything will be purposeful. Resistance does not disappear. It becomes irrelevant. Delays do not vanish. They become strategic. Even confusion has an expiration date when heaven is involved. You see, unsanctioned power is exhausting. It relies on effort, manipulation, and constant motion. That is why so many people burn out while doing good things. They were moving, but they were not cleared. Sanctioned power, on the other hand, conserves energy. You move less, but accomplish more. You speak fewer words, but they carry weight. You make one decision and it does the work of 10. This is why people misunderstand you. They see you moving calmly while they are panicking. They see you waiting while they are rushing. They assume you are passive, unaware, or behind. They do not realize you are moving with permission, not pressure. Heaven does not rush. It releases. Chosen one, think back. How many times were you removed from something you desperately wanted, only to later realize it would have destroyed you? How many doors closed abruptly without explanation? How many plans collapsed even though you prepared well? Those moments were not failures. They were divine refusals. Heaven was protecting its clearance over your life. Sanctioned power also explains why certain opportunities feel heavy even when they look good. If something requires you to betray your peace, compromise your values, or silence your discernment, it is not sanctioned. And your spirit reacts before your mind understands. That discomfort you feel is not fear. It is warning. You were never meant to take every opportunity. You were meant to take the right ones, and the right ones arrive without forcing your hand. They arrive with clarity. They arrive with peace. They arrive with confirmation, not confusion. Now listen closely. Sanctioned power does not always feel powerful at first. Sometimes it feels like restraint. God often clears you internally before He moves you externally. He teaches you to control your reactions before He expands your influence, because uncontrolled power destroys the carrier. That is why your season of silence was necessary. That is why your isolation was intentional. Heaven was stabilizing you. You did not lose time, you gained maturity. People who move without clearance are always in a hurry. They fear being left behind. Chosen ones who move with sanctioned power know they cannot be replaced. What God assigns to you cannot be fulfilled by someone else. That is why your journey looks slow to outsiders, but precise to heaven. And here is where mental peace begins to return. You stop competing. You stop comparing timelines. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your pace. You understand that alignment is more important than acceleration. Religion taught rules. Heaven teaches relationship. Rules control behavior. Relationship shapes identity. When you know who authorized you, you don't panic when people withdraw support. You don't collapse when recognition is delayed. You don't feel threatened when others rise. You know what was cleared for you will not miss you. Sanctioned power also changes how you handle conflict. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need to correct every misunderstanding. You allow truth to reveal itself over time. You trust God's timing more than your tongue. This is why silence has become your strength. Not because you are weak, but because you are clear. Chosen one, let this settle into your spirit. You are not behind. You are not confused. You are not wasting your life. You are moving under clearance. And heaven does not clear things randomly. It clears what it intends to sustain. As this understanding sinks in, your mind will relax. Your shoulders will loosen. Your breathing will slow. Because clarity always brings peace. And peace is one of the strongest signs that your power is sanctioned. You are not walking blindly. You are walking authorized. Section 3. Signs you have been cleared by heaven without announcement. Chosen one, heaven does not announce clearance the way the world announces promotion. There is no ceremony, no public declaration, no applause. Clearance is quiet, and that silence confuses many people who are actually chosen because they expect validation before authorization. But heaven works the other way around. Authorization comes first. Recognition may come later, or not at all. One of the first signs you have been cleared by heaven is that your life began to simplify in strange ways. Not easier, simpler. Certain relationships faded without drama. Some conversations stopped happening. Some environments no longer felt comfortable, even though nothing obvious was wrong. You didn't fight it, you just drifted away. That wasn't loss, that was alignment. Another sign is this. You started feeling guided from the inside instead of pushed from the outside. You don't need constant advice. You don't need everyone's opinion. You listen, but you don't absorb everything. Something within you filters information now. You pause before reacting. You sense when to speak and when to stay quiet. That inner restraint is not weakness, it is training. Cleared people become selective, not because they are superior, but because they are responsible. Heaven does not give authority to reckless carriers. So, before your influence increases, your discernment deepens. You start noticing energy. You feel shifts in rooms. You sense when something looks right but feels wrong. And many times, you cannot explain it logically. That is clearance speaking through intuition. You also begin to notice that certain plans fall apart, even when they look perfect on paper. You did everything right. You prepared. You prayed. And still, it did not move forward. Earlier in your life, this would have crushed you. But now, something else happens. You feel disappointed, yes, but not devastated. Because deep down, you trust that what was blocked was not meant to bless you long term. That trust is not learned. It is given. Cleared by heaven means protected from outcomes you cannot yet see. Another sign is emotional regulation. You still feel deeply, but you don't spiral the way you used to. You don't stay offended. You don't carry resentment for long. You don't waste energy proving yourself to people who misunderstand you. Your reactions shorten. Your recovery time improves. That emotional stability is not maturity alone. It is authority settling in. Heaven does not entrust power to unstable minds. Pay attention to this next one, because many chosen ones miss it. When you are cleared, people begin reacting to you differently, even when you haven't changed your behavior. Some become drawn to you without knowing why. Others become irritated by your presence without cause. You didn't offend them. You didn't challenge them. You simply existed. That reaction is not personal. Your clarity disrupts their confusion. Light does not argue with darkness. It exposes it. You may also notice that explanations no longer work the way they used to. You try to explain your intentions, your heart, your reasoning, but it changes nothing. People still assume, they still project. At some point you stop explaining, not because you gave up, but because you realized something important. Heaven did not assign you to convince everyone. Clearance removes the burden of being understood. That realization brings peace. Another sign of clearance is that your pace has changed. You are not rushing anymore. You are not frantic about timelines. You are not panicking about age, progress, or comparison. You still have goals, but they don't control your emotions. You trust that what is meant for you will arrive at the correct time. That trust calms your nervous system. And a calm nervous system is evidence of spiritual authority. Fear-driven people cannot carry heaven-backed power. Let me speak to the chosen ones who feel misunderstood by their own families. Clearance often creates distance before it creates agreement. You may feel like you don't fully belong where you came from, but you also don't yet belong where you're going. That in-between space feels lonely. But it is not abandonment. It is transition. Heaven clears you internally before it relocates you externally. You may also experience sudden clarity about what no longer aligns. Habits you tolerated now bother you. Entertainment that once distracted you now feels empty. Conversations you once enjoyed now feel draining. You didn't become judgmental. You became sensitive. Your spirit matured faster than your surroundings. This sensitivity is not fragility. It is refinement. Another unmistakable sign is restraint. You could react, but you don't. You could retaliate, but you choose not to. You could expose, but you stay quiet. And sometimes that restraint frustrates you. You feel capable of more. You feel ready. But heaven is teaching you something critical. Power is proven by control, not expression. Weapons are not always meant to be drawn. Cleared people also experience divine interruptions. Plans change suddenly. Paths redirect unexpectedly. Meetings get cancelled. Opportunities shift at the last moment. At first, this feels inconvenient, but later, you see the protection. You realize what you avoided. You recognize what never touched you because heaven intervened quietly. If your life has been full of near misses, you are not unlucky. You are guarded. Let me say something bold now. If you were not cleared, you would be living a louder life. You would be fighting more, proving more, explaining more, exhausting yourself more. The fact that you are learning to conserve energy, choose peace, and walk away from chaos is proof that heaven is stabilizing you for something greater. Cleared people become less dramatic, not more passive. You may also notice that God speaks to you in fewer words now, not through long explanations, but through conviction, through nudges, through a sense of "don't do that" or "wait here." And when you obey, you are protected. When you ignore it, you feel unsettled. That sensitivity is a sign of clearance. Heaven does not speak casually to those it has not authorized. And finally, this sign is subtle but powerful. You no longer feel the need to announce who you are. You don't need titles. You don't need recognition. You don't need to prove that you are chosen. You are comfortable letting results speak later. You are at peace being hidden now. Chosen one, heaven never rushes what it plans to reveal properly. If many of these signs resonate with you, let your heart relax. You are not imagining things. You are not drifting. You are not losing direction. You are being cleared in silence. And silence, when guided by heaven, is not absence. It is preparation. Section 4. Why your moves trigger people, even when you say nothing. Chosen one, this part may finally explain something that has followed you for a long time. There have been moments when you entered a room quietly, said very little, minded your own business, and yet something shifted. The mood changed. The atmosphere tightened. Someone became distant. Someone else became defensive. And you stood there wondering, what did I do? The truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You simply moved with authority that was not announced but felt. When your power is sanctioned by heaven, it carries an invisible signal. People may not understand it consciously, but their spirit recognizes it immediately. And spirits respond before mouths do. That is why reactions come without reasons. That is why tension appears without conflict. Your presence exposes internal states in others, and not everyone is comfortable with what they see reflected. You see, chosen one, you no longer move from insecurity. You no longer seek approval the way you once did. You may not even realize how much calmer you've become. But calm is threatening to people who survive on chaos. Stability unsettles those who are internally unstable, and clarity irritates those who are still confused. You don't argue, you don't overshare, you don't chase attention, and yet your stillness speaks louder than their noise. That is why some people feel exposed around you. You are not judging them, but your alignment highlights their misalignment. This is where many chosen ones struggle emotionally. You try to fix it. You soften your tone. You over-explain your intentions. You lower yourself so others can feel comfortable. But let me tell you something important, with love and firmness. You are not responsible for managing other people's discomfort with your clarity. Heaven did not clear you so you could remain small. Another reason your movements trigger people is because sanctioned power removes desperation. You are no longer begging life to work out. You are no longer clinging to people, roles, or outcomes. And when desperation leaves you, manipulation no longer works on you. People who relied on control, guilt, or emotional leverage feel that shift immediately. They sense that you cannot be moved the way you once were, so they react. Some will attempt to provoke you. Others will test your patience. Some will withdraw completely, and a few may even misrepresent you. Not because you harmed them, but because your freedom reminds them of their own bondage. It is easier to label you than to confront themselves. Chosen one, this is why silence becomes necessary at this stage. Not because you're afraid to speak, but because you understand something deeper now. You understand that not every reaction deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs clarification, and not every battle is yours to fight. Your calm is not passivity. It is confidence. Let me also say this clearly. When heaven clears your movements, you begin operating with boundaries, and boundaries offend people who benefited from your lack of them. When you stop overgiving, over-explaining, and overextending, those who are comfortable taking from you feel uncomfortable. They call it change, they call it distance, they call it pride. But what it really is alignment. You didn't become cold, you became clear. There is another layer to this that many avoid talking about. Your growth disrupts familiar roles. People knew who you were when you doubted yourself. They were comfortable when you were unsure, hesitant, and seeking approval. But when heaven clears you, you no longer fit the version they memorized. And instead of updating their perception, some people resist your evolution. That resistance often shows up as subtle negativity, passive remarks, backhanded compliments, questioning your decisions, minimizing your progress. None of that is random. It is discomfort trying to disguise itself as concern. And here is where mental peace becomes critical. You must learn not to internalize reactions that were never about you. You must stop carrying emotional weight that does not belong to you. When someone reacts negatively to your obedience, it does not mean you made the wrong move. Often, it means you made the right one. Cleared movements threaten comfort zones. You may notice that even when you are kind, respectful, and genuine, some people still feel uneasy around you. That is because kindness with authority is different from kindness with insecurity. The first is calm, the second seeks reassurance, and only one of them makes people feel in control. You are no longer easily controlled. Let this truth settle gently in your mind. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to be aligned with God, and alignment will cost you some approvals. It will remove you from certain circles. It will place you in solitude at times, but it will also protect your spirit, your purpose, and your peace. Heaven values your peace more than public comfort. Chosen one, stop apologizing for the version of you that God is building. Stop shrinking your light so others can remain comfortable in dim spaces. Stop questioning your obedience because someone reacted poorly. Reactions are not confirmations. Alignment is. You will learn this more deeply as you continue walking. The more secure you become, the less explanation you will offer. Not because you are dismissive, but because you are settled. And settled people do not argue their worth. Your movements trigger people because they are authorized. Your silence unsettles because it is confident. Your presence exposes because it is clear. None of this is accidental. So the next time you sense tension without cause, pause. Breathe. Do not personalize it. Do not absorb it. Simply remind yourself of this truth. I am not here to be understood by everyone. I am here to be obedient to God. And obedience, chosen one, carries a weight that not everyone can carry or tolerate. You are not too much. You are simply cleared. Section 5. The difference between moving fast and moving cleared. Chosen one, there is a powerful difference between speed and authorization. The world celebrates fast movement. It praises urgency. It rewards those who rush ahead and announce progress loudly. But heaven does not measure success by speed. Heaven measures success by alignment. And many of the frustrations you faced in life came from trying to move quickly before you were fully cleared. Moving fast feels productive. Moving cleared feels peaceful. When you were younger in your walk, you may have felt pressured to act immediately. You saw others advancing, building, achieving, and you wondered if you were falling behind. That pressure pushed you into decisions that looked right but felt heavy. You moved, but something resisted you. You progressed, but peace didn't follow. That was not failure. That was heaven withholding clearance. Cleared movement does not demand urgency. It invites patience. When God clears a path, He also clears your mind. You don't feel frantic. You don't feel desperate. You don't feel like time is chasing you. Instead, you feel steady, focused, present. Even when the work is intense, the inner state remains calm. Fast movement drains you. Cleared movement sustains you. This is why chosen ones often experience seasons where nothing seems to move externally, but everything is shifting internally. God is not wasting your time. He is strengthening your foundation, because speed without stability leads to collapse. Heaven is not interested in building something impressive that cannot last. Think about how many times you were tempted to force something, a relationship, a position, an opportunity. You tried to make it work through effort, persuasion, or compromise. And even when it seemed to move forward briefly, it eventually fell apart. That is what happens when movement outruns clearance. You may get ahead temporarily, but you cannot stay there. Cleared movement feels different. It does not require you to convince people. It does not require you to chase outcomes. Doors open naturally, conversations align, support appears without manipulation. Even obstacles come with instruction, not confusion. You know when to pause, you know when to proceed, and when you do move, things hold. This is why heaven often slows the chosen ones down, not to punish them, but to protect them. God knows what your calling will require of you. He knows the weight of the influence you are meant to carry, and He knows that premature movement would expose you before you are fully anchored. Delay is not denial. Delay is development. Let me speak to the part of you that feels restless. You want to do more. You know you are capable. You sense that something significant is ahead, and yet you feel restrained. That restraint is not limitation. It is preparation. God is teaching you to listen before acting, to discern before deciding, to obey before accelerating. Cleared movement is obedient movement. When you move fast, you rely on your strength. When you move cleared, you rely on God's timing. And God's timing removes unnecessary struggle. It doesn't remove effort, but it removes friction. You stop fighting currents that were never meant to carry you. This is also why comparison becomes dangerous. When you compare your pace to others, you forget that their clearance is not your clearance. Their assignment is not your assignment. Some people are built to move quickly, others are built to move deeply. Heaven does not duplicate designs, it customizes them. Your slowness is not weakness, it is precision. Cleared movement also changes how you experience waiting. Waiting no longer feels empty, it becomes intentional. You grow during it. You learn during it. You heal during it. You are not idle. You are being positioned. And when the moment comes, you do not hesitate. You move with clarity and confidence, not fear. Fast movers often burn out because they outrun wisdom. Cleared movers last because they move with insight. Chosen one, let go of the pressure to keep up. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not missing anything meant for you. What God has cleared for you will still be there when you arrive. It cannot be taken by someone else. It cannot be rushed by anxiety. Trust the pace that brings peace. When you stop forcing movement, life becomes lighter. Decisions become clearer. Your body relaxes. Your mind settles. And your spirit remains attentive. That calm state is not laziness. It is alignment. So the next time you feel the urge to rush, pause. Ask yourself a simple question. Am I moving because I am afraid to wait, or because heaven has cleared this step? That question will save you from many unnecessary battles. Chosen one, speed impresses people. Clearance pleases God. And when God is pleased, He protects what He releases. You don't need to be fast. You need to be aligned, and alignment will always take you exactly where you are meant to go, at the exact time you are meant to arrive. Section 6. Why attacks intensify after clearance. Chosen one, This is where many people become confused and emotionally tired. They assume that once heaven clears them, life should become easier. Fewer problems, less resistance, more peace externally. But the truth is different. Clearance does not remove opposition. It exposes it. And that is why attacks often intensify right after alignment. Let me say this calmly so it settles your mind. Resistance is not a sign that you missed God. Resistance is often confirmation that you obeyed Him. When your power was dormant, you were not a threat. When you were unsure, doubting yourself, seeking permission from people, the spiritual environment remained comfortable. But the moment you became settled, the moment you stopped wavering internally, the moment heaven cleared your movement, your presence became disruptive to systems that rely on confusion. Attacks intensify when clarity appears. This is why some of you noticed that the moment you made a firm decision to obey God, pressure followed immediately. People misunderstood you, circumstances tightened, unexpected challenges appeared, not because heaven withdrew support, but because alignment activates confrontation. Light does not negotiate with darkness, it reveals it. Chosen one, understand this deeply. Spiritual resistance is not personal, it is positional. You are not being attacked for who you are emotionally. You are being challenged because of where you stand spiritually. And that distinction matters, because it prevents you from internalizing what was never meant to wound your identity. Many chosen ones fall into emotional exhaustion here because they fight attacks the wrong way. They argue, they defend, they over-explain, they try to control outcomes. But clearance teaches you a higher response. You learn to stay calm while pressure rises. You learn to remain steady while noise increases. And that calm unsettles opposition more than aggression ever could. Heaven-backed authority does not panic. Another reason attacks intensify after clearance is exposure. When you move with authorization, hidden things surface. Motives reveal themselves. Masks slip. People show you who they really are. And while this revelation can be painful, it is also protective. God is removing what cannot travel with you. You are not losing people. You are being preserved. Let me speak to the chosen ones who feel targeted without cause. You didn't provoke conflict. You didn't start drama. You simply stopped tolerating misalignment. And when you stop tolerating something, it reacts. When you stop enabling dysfunction, it resists. That resistance often looks like blame, accusation, or misunderstanding. Do not confuse accusation with guilt. Heaven allows attacks not to break you, but to reveal your posture. Will you react emotionally, or will you respond spiritually? Will you retaliate, or will you remain restrained? Every attack tests not your strength, but your stability. And stability is what qualifies you for greater responsibility. Unstable power is dangerous. Stable power is trusted. You may also notice that attacks come in waves. One issue resolves, another appears. One pressure lifts, another replaces it. This is not coincidence, it is conditioning. Heaven is teaching you endurance, not the kind that grits teeth and survives, but the kind that remains calm under sustained pressure. Endurance is a spiritual muscle. Chosen one, stop expecting silence from opposition when you are walking in obedience. Silence is not promised, protection is. And protection does not always mean absence of battle. Sometimes it means survival through it, growth through it, authority after it. There is something else that needs to be said clearly. Attacks often intensify because you stopped leaking energy. When you no longer react the way you used to, opposition becomes frustrated. When manipulation no longer works, it escalates. When guilt no longer controls you, it gets louder. This is not your cue to re-engage emotionally. This is your cue to remain still. Stillness is not surrender, it is control. Heaven teaches chosen ones not to fight every fight. Some battles are won by standing firm. Some are won by walking away. Some are won by silence. And some are won simply by continuing forward without acknowledging the distraction. Distraction is often the real attack. Let me bring this to your mind gently. If attacks have increased in your life recently, it is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because something is shifting. And shifts create friction. You are moving into a space where your obedience matters, where your influence carries weight, where your decisions ripple outward. Opposition reacts when it senses displacement. This is why mental peace becomes non-negotiable. You cannot afford to let every challenge disturb your inner state. Your peace is part of your authority. When you lose peace, you lose clarity. And when clarity is lost, mistakes follow. So protect your peace fiercely. When attacks come, slow down, breathe, pray quietly, observe instead of reacting. Ask God what response is required, if any. Sometimes the instruction will be to speak. Sometimes it will be to wait. Sometimes it will be to walk away. Obedience, not emotion, must lead. Chosen one, remember this. Heaven never clears someone without preparing them for resistance. You are not underprepared. You are not exposed. You are not alone. What you are experiencing is part of the process of carrying sanctioned power. Pressure does not mean abandonment. Pressure reveals capacity. As this truth settles into you, your fear will soften. Your reactions will slow. Your confidence will deepen. Because you will understand that attacks are not interruptions to your journey. They are confirmations that you are walking it. You are not being tested to see if you will fail. You are being tested to see if you will remain aligned. And alignment, chosen one, always outlasts opposition. Stay steady. Stay calm. Stay obedient. Heaven has already cleared you. Section 7. How to move with authority without explaining yourself. Chosen one. This is where true authority settles into the body and the mind. There comes a point in your walk where heaven no longer requires you to explain yourself. Not because explanations are wrong, but because explanations are no longer effective. Authority speaks through consistency, not conversation. Earlier in life, you felt the need to clarify everything. You wanted to be understood. You wanted people to know your heart, your intentions, your reasoning. And that was natural. But now, something has shifted. You are beginning to realize that understanding is not something you can negotiate. It is either given or it is withheld. And heaven does not assign you to chase it. When your power is sanctioned, your life becomes the explanation. Moving with authority does not mean becoming distant or cold. It means becoming anchored. You no longer shape your behavior around reactions. You no longer adjust your truth to maintain comfort. You say less, but you mean more. You move slower, but with precision. And that steadiness communicates more than long explanations ever could. One of the hardest lessons for chosen ones is learning to let God defend them. You are capable of defending yourself. You have the words. You have the insight. You could expose misunderstandings instantly. But heaven teaches restraint because self-defense can sometimes interfere with divine protection. When God defends you, it lasts longer. Authority without explanation begins with emotional boundaries. You stop oversharing your plans, not because you are secretive, but because not everyone is assigned to carry the weight of your future. You stop announcing moves before they happen. You stop seeking validation before acting. You stop asking permission from people who cannot authorize you. This silence is not fear. It is wisdom. Chosen one, notice how often Jesus withdrew instead of reacting. He did not respond to every accusation. He did not correct every false narrative. He moved forward with clarity, allowing truth to reveal itself through outcomes. That is spiritual authority, modeled perfectly. When you explain yourself constantly, you invite debate. When you move with authority, you invite observation. Another sign that you are learning this is your relationship with approval. You still value connection, but you are no longer dependent on agreement. You can sit with disapproval without shrinking. You can be misunderstood without panicking. You can be questioned without collapsing. That emotional stability is not arrogance, it is grounding. Grounded people do not need to shout. Moving with authority also means letting consequences speak. You no longer rush to correct perceptions. You let time reveal patterns. You trust that consistency will outlive confusion. And when people finally understand, if they do, it happens naturally, without effort. Heaven prefers revelation over explanation. This does not mean you become passive. It means you become intentional. When you speak clearly. When you act decisively. You do not half commit. You do not move from guilt. You do not act from pressure. You act from conviction. Conviction simplifies life. There will be moments when silence feels uncomfortable. Your old instincts will urge you to explain, to clarify, to fix. Pause in those moments. Ask yourself whether this explanation is necessary or whether it is simply familiar. Many explanations are habits, not assignments. Authority breaks habits. You will also learn that some people only respect boundaries after they experience them. Words will not convince them. Distance will. Consistency will. Calm firmness will. And that is okay. You are not responsible for teaching lessons to those who refuse to listen. Chosen one, moving with authority means trusting that what is meant to follow you will follow without force. You stop dragging people into alignment. You stop convincing. You stop negotiating your calling. You let God order your steps. As you do this, something beautiful happens internally. Your nervous system settles, your mind quiets, your spirit feels safe. You are no longer performing. You are simply being. And being aligned is far more powerful than appearing impressive. Remember this truth as you move forward. Silence is not weakness when it is guided by clarity. Distance is not rejection when it is guided by discernment. And authority does not need explanation when heaven has already cleared it. Walk calmly, speak when led, stay steady. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be aligned with God, and alignment, chosen one, always speaks for itself. Section 8. Conclusion. Walk forward. You are cleared. Chosen one. Take a deep breath and let this truth settle gently inside you. You are not walking blindly. You are not guessing your way through life. You are not surviving on hope alone. You are moving with clearance. Heaven has already gone ahead of you. What you are stepping into has been reviewed, approved, and authorized by God Himself. This is why your spirit has been learning to rest, even when answers are incomplete. This is why your heart has been growing calm in seasons that once would have broken you. You are no longer reacting from fear. You are responding from alignment. And alignment always produces peace before it produces results. You do not need to announce your authority. You do not need to convince anyone of your calling. You do not need to rush to prove what God has already established. Walk steadily, speak wisely, move when prompted, pause when instructed. Heaven will handle what your hands were never meant to touch. Let go of the weight you were never assigned to carry. Release the pressure to explain. Release the need to be understood by everyone. Release the fear of delay. What is cleared for you cannot miss you. What is protected for you cannot harm you. And what God has authorized over your life cannot be cancelled by human opinion. Chosen one, your peace is your confirmation. Your calm is your signal. Your clarity is your protection. Walk forward knowing this. You are not late, you are not forgotten, and you are not unprepared. You are exactly where heaven needs you to be. Before you go, chosen ones, give a like to this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tap the bell icon so you stay connected to what God is releasing next. Share this message with other chosen ones who need this clarity. And comment 777 below. as a declaration that you are aligned, authorized, and walking boldly in what heaven has already cleared for you. Walk forward now. You are cleared.